Welcome back to the channel, Valuable Coins HD, friends and collectors, to another exciting episode where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding right under our noses in everyday American pocket change. Today we are diving into not just one, but two iconic coins from the year 1990 that might look completely ordinary at first glance but can hold extraordinary secrets: the Roosevelt dime and the Jefferson nickel. These are coins that millions of people spent without ever looking twice. But as we've seen time and time again in the world of numismatics, sometimes the smallest details can turn pocket change into a life-changing discovery. Let's begin with the Roosevelt dime. First introduced in 1946, this 10-cent coin was created to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II made him one of the most beloved presidents in American history. But beyond politics, Roosevelt had a very personal connection to the fight against polio. His support of the March of Dimes campaign made him forever linked to the dime, so it was only fitting that his portrait became the symbol of this coin. By 1990, the Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for nearly half a century. Made of copper and nickel rather than silver, this little coin was the everyday workhorse of the American economy. Now let's talk about the Jefferson nickel. Introduced in 1938, it replaced the Buffalo nickel and brought us the image of America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, along with his home, Monticello, on the reverse. The design has remained one of the longest running in American history, carrying Jefferson's legacy through decades of circulation. By 1990, the Jefferson nickel was also deeply embedded in American life. Think about it. Between the dime and the nickel, millions of transactions, from phone calls to candy bars, were powered by these coins. At first glance, the 1990 Roosevelt dime and Jefferson nickel seem like nothing more than ordinary coins. They were produced in huge numbers at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, Denver coins had a D, and San Francisco issued special proofs with an S. Most of these coins entered circulation immediately, and like all coins, they began to show the scars of use, scratches, dull surfaces, and wear from constant handling. But the magic of coin collecting is this: hidden among the millions of ordinary coins are the few extraordinary survivors. A coin that avoided circulation, a coin struck with unusual precision, or one with a fascinating minting error can be worth far more than anyone would expect. Collectors are constantly searching for these exceptions. Condition plays a huge role in determining value. A dime or nickel from 1990 that remains in mint state condition, meaning it looks as if it just left the mint, can be valuable in its own right. But when grading services like PCGS or NGC award a coin of very high grade, mint state 67, 68, or even 69, that's when collectors start paying serious money. Perfection is rare, and rarity drives demand, but it doesn't stop there. Minting errors add another layer of excitement. For the 1990 dime and nickel, collectors keep an eye out for double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, or even coins struck on the wrong type of metal blank. Each of these errors is like a fingerprint from the minting process, a unique accident that makes the coin stand out. Imagine finding a 1990 Jefferson nickel with an off-center strike, or a 1990 Roosevelt dime with a dramatic double die on the date. That's the kind of discovery that makes a collector's heart race. Proof coins from San Francisco also attract attention. These were struck with special care, producing mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. While many proof sets survive, only a small number remain in absolutely flawless condition, making them highly desirable to collectors who demand perfection. So, why should you pay attention to the coins in your own pocket? Because history has shown us that ordinary-looking dimes and nickels can turn out to be extraordinary. The designs may seem simple: Roosevelt in profile, Jefferson gazing forward, Monticello standing proudly, but behind those designs lies decades of American history, artistry, and craftsmanship. And within certain coins, hidden in plain sight, lies incredible value. Think about it. You might pull some coins out of a drawer, a coin jar, or even pocket change from the grocery store, and without knowing it, you could be holding onto a tiny piece of treasure. It takes a trained eye to spot the difference, but once you know what to look for, luster, strike quality, or unusual minting features, you open the door to a world where small coins can mean big rewards. Now here's the most exciting part. While most Roosevelt dimes and Jefferson nickels from 1990 will only ever be worth face value, there are rare examples that have shocked collectors and auction houses with their value. In fact, one exceptional coin from this very year has been valued at an astonishing $72,000. Yes, that's right. $72,000 for a coin that most people would overlook as simple pocket change. Today, we're going to dive deep into a fascinating year in American coinage, 1972, and explore not just one, but two legendary coins that continue to spark excitement in the world of numismatics, the Roosevelt dime and the Jefferson nickel. These coins may seem like ordinary pocket change, but as we'll see, the story behind them and the potential hidden value make them anything but ordinary. Let's start with the Roosevelt dime. Introduced in 1946, the dime honors Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who guided the nation through the darkest years of the Great Depression and World War II. But Roosevelt's legacy goes beyond politics. He had a personal battle with polio, and his support for the March of Dimes cemented his connection to this coin forever. In 1972, the dime was struck in copper nickel, no longer made of silver as it had been in earlier years. Still, the design remained unchanged: Roosevelt's dignified profile on the obverse and the torch, oak branch, and olive branch on the reverse, representing liberty, strength, and peace. Now let's turn our attention to the Jefferson nickel. First minted in 1938, the Jefferson nickel replaced the iconic Buffalo nickel, and it brought with it a bold new design. On the front, we see Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. President and the author of the Declaration of Independence, staring forward with quiet determination. On the reverse, Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, stands as a symbol of his vision and intellect. By 1972, the Jefferson nickel had already been circulating for more than 3 decades, becoming an essential part of American commerce. At first glance, the 1972 Roosevelt dime and Jefferson nickel don't appear rare. They were produced in huge numbers at the Philadelphia Mint, which had no mint mark at that time, and the Denver Mint, which used the D mint mark. San Francisco, meanwhile, produced proof coins with the S mint mark. These coins flowed freely into circulation, helping Americans pay for bus rides, vending machine snacks, newspapers, and countless other daily expenses. But here's where the story gets exciting. Among the millions of coins struck in 1972, some stand apart. And in the world of coin collecting, those few extraordinary coins can be worth a small fortune. First, let's talk about condition. Most coins you find from 1972 will show heavy wear, scratches, dull surfaces, and years of circulation damage. But the small fraction of coins that escaped into collectors' hands or remained untouched in rolls and bags are often found in pristine condition. When these are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and awarded high mint state grades such as MS66, MS67, or higher, their value increases dramatically. Collectors will pay top dollar for coins that look like they were just struck yesterday. Errors are another exciting factor. A 1972 dime or nickel with a double die, an off-center strike, or even struck on the wrong planchet is a true prize. Imagine finding a Jefferson nickel with the design shifted noticeably off-center, or a Roosevelt dime with a dramatic doubling on the date or lettering. Each of these mistakes from the mint turns the coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. Some errors are so rare that they can command staggering prices at auction. Then there are proof coins. The San Francisco Mint struck proof dimes and nickels in 1972, intended for collectors rather than circulation. These coins were made with extra care, featuring mirror-like fields and frosted devices. Today, finding a 1972 proof coin in perfect, flawless condition is a challenge, and those that have been preserved well are in high demand. The Roosevelt dime and Jefferson nickel are also deeply tied to American history. They remind us of two great presidents who left their mark on the nation. Roosevelt guided the country through turmoil with his New Deal programs and wartime leadership. Jefferson gave the world one of the most powerful documents of freedom and expanded the nation with the Louisiana Purchase. Holding these coins in your hand connects you to that legacy. So why should you take a closer look at your spare change, your coin jars, or old collections in your family's attic? Because coins like these prove that treasures are hiding in plain sight. Most people see nothing but 10 cents or 5 cents, but collectors see possibility. With patience, knowledge, and a sharp eye, you might just uncover something extraordinary, and here comes the thrilling part. While most 1972 Roosevelt dimes and Jefferson nickels will always be worth only their face value, the rarest examples in exceptional condition or with unique errors can sell for amounts that truly surprise collectors and casual finders alike. In fact, one such coin from this very year reached an incredible value of $82,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $82,000 for a coin that most people would pass along without a second thought. Today, we're going to take a closer look at two coins from one remarkable year in American history, the 1964 Roosevelt dime and the 1964 Jefferson nickel. These coins may seem ordinary, but as we'll discover, some examples are far from ordinary, and their value in today's collector's market will absolutely surprise you. Let's begin with the Roosevelt dime. This little silver coin carries a big story. First introduced in 1946, it was created to honor Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the nation's 32nd president. Roosevelt wasn't just a leader who guided America through the Great Depression and World War II, he was also deeply connected to the March of Dimes campaign, which fought against polio. So when he passed away in 1945, it only felt natural to honor him with the smallest but most widely circulated coin in the U.S., the dime. The 1964 Roosevelt dime holds a special place in numismatic history because it marked the very end of an era. This was the final year the dime was struck in 90% silver. Starting in 1965, due to rising silver costs and coin shortages, the U.S. Mint transitioned to copper-nickel-clad coinage. That means if you have a 1964 dime, you're holding not only a piece of American history, but also one of the last circulating dimes to contain real silver. On the obverse, you'll find Roosevelt's profile, clean and dignified, while the reverse displays a torch, flanked by branches of oak and olive, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. Now let's turn to the Jefferson nickel. The 5-cent coin has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the famous Buffalo nickel. Its obverse features Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, and the reverse highlights his home, Monticello, in Virginia. The Jefferson nickel was designed by Felix Schlag, and while the basic design remained for decades, small details changed over time. By 1964, the Jefferson nickel was struck in massive numbers to meet the demand of a growing population and an expanding economy, but here's what makes 1964 such a fascinating year for both coins. The U.S. Mint produced billions, yes, billions, of dimes and nickels that year. In fact, to combat coin shortages, the Mint even continued striking 1964 dated coins into 1965. So, on the surface, these coins aren't rare at all. Almost every American alive at the time handled them daily. Yet in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't just about how many coins were made, it's about condition, errors, and special circumstances. For the Roosevelt dime, collectors are especially interested in pieces struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, as well as those from Philadelphia, which carried no mint mark in that era. San Francisco did not strike regular circulation dimes in 1964, but proofs were made there, with the S Mint mark, and these proofs can be spectacular in their detail. The Jefferson nickel followed a similar story, huge production, but with Philadelphia and Denver leading the charge. So where does the value come in? First, let's talk about condition. Coins that circulated heavily lost their luster, picked up scratches, dings, and discoloration. These are common and usually worth only face value or, in the case of the dime, a little over melt value for its silver content. But coins that survived in pristine, untouched condition, shining as if they were struck yesterday, are incredibly desirable. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC award high mint state grades to such coins, and these top-grade examples can sell for thousands. Next, let's consider errors and varieties. A double die on a 1964 dime, an off-center strike on a nickel, or a missing mint mark can all transform a common coin into a rarity. Some coins even left the mint with planchet mistakes, such as a dime struck on a foreign blank or a nickel struck on a silver dime planchet. Each of these errors is a collector's dream because they are so unique. No two are exactly alike. Proof coins also deserve special mention. The San Francisco Mint's 1964 proof sets included both the dime and the nickel, struck with incredible care, resulting in mirror-like finishes and frosted devices. Finding a proof coin from 1964 that still looks flawless is becoming increasingly difficult, which drives up their desirability and value. Collectors love the 1964 dime for being the last year of 90% silver, and they love the 1964 nickel for its massive production that hides rare gems in plain sight. Together, these two coins tell a story of change in America, change in currency, change in economics, and change in history. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. While most 1964 Roosevelt dimes and Jefferson nickels will always remain common, there are a handful of extraordinary examples, whether in superb mint state, proof, or with dramatic errors, that fetch astonishing sums at auction. One such piece has reached a value that most people would never believe possible for such small change. In fact, one remarkable coin connected to this very year sold for an unbelievable $89,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $89,000. That's the power of numismatics. A coin that was once worth only 10 cents or 5 cents could today be worth more than a brand new luxury car. Today's story is going to blow your mind. We're going back to the year 1979, a fascinating time in American coinage, to uncover the surprising secrets of two everyday coins, the Roosevelt dime and the Jefferson nickel. While these coins may look like ordinary pocket change, some rare examples from this year have become incredible treasures in the world of coin collecting. Let's start with the Roosevelt dime. The dime had already been in circulation for more than 3 decades by 1979, first introduced in 1946 to honor Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the nation's 32nd president. Roosevelt wasn't just remembered for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, he was also the inspiration behind the March of Dimes, which helped fund the fight against polio. That connection made the dime the perfect coin to carry his image. By 1979, the Roosevelt dime was no longer made of silver. The nation had shifted to clad coinage in 1965, with dimes composed of a copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of nickel. Still, the design remained the same, Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and the reverse featuring a torch, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. It's a simple but powerful design that millions of Americans carried in their pockets every single day. Now, let's turn to the Jefferson nickel. First minted in 1938, the Jefferson nickel replaced the famous Buffalo nickel and has since become one of America's longest-running coin designs. On the obverse, Jefferson's portrait reminds us of his role as the 3rd U.S. president and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On the reverse, Monticello, his home in Virginia, stands proudly as a symbol of his vision and legacy. By 1979, the nickel was a coin that nearly every American touched daily, but in the world of collectors, special examples stand apart from the billions that were minted. Here's where things get interesting. In 1979, the U.S. Mint produced massive quantities of both dimes and nickels. They were struck at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia, which carried no mint mark, Denver, which used the D mint mark, and San Francisco, which struck proof coins with the S mint mark. At first glance, these coins seem incredibly common. After all, billions were made. But rarity in coin collecting isn't only about how many were minted. It's about which one survived in extraordinary condition, and which ones were struck with unique variations or errors. Condition is the first key factor. Most 1979 dimes and nickels were used in everyday transactions, meaning they show heavy wear, scratches, and fading. But the rare examples that were carefully saved, never spent, and kept in pristine condition can be worth far more. Coins graded at the highest levels, such as Mint State 66 or Mint State 67, can command impressive prices at auction. A perfectly struck coin with no blemishes is a collector's dream. Then there are minting errors, which add a whole new level of excitement. Imagine finding a dime struck slightly off-center, a nickel with doubled lettering, or even a coin struck on the wrong planchet. These unusual mistakes make each error coin unique, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for such one-of-a-kind pieces. The 1979 Roosevelt dime and Jefferson nickel are known to have some error varieties that send their value soaring when they appear on the market. Proof coins from 1979 also deserve attention. The San Francisco Mint struck them with special dies and polished blanks, producing coins with sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. These proof coins weren't meant for circulation, but for collectors, and when they're preserved in flawless condition, they can be worth far more than face value. What makes this all so fascinating is that coins like these connect us directly to the history of the United States. Think about it, a 1979 dime or nickel could have been in someone's pocket during major events of that year, from the energy crisis to shifts in American politics. Yet today, these same coins might hold a value far beyond what anyone imagined back then. So, why should you take the time to look more closely at your change, or at those jars of coins sitting in your home? Because among the billions of 1,979 dimes and nickels, a small fraction hides extraordinary potential. And it's not just about money, it's about history, about preservation, and about owning something that represents both artistry and heritage. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for. While the vast majority of these coins will never be worth more than their face value, a select few, whether preserved in the highest grades or struck with remarkable errors, have shocked collectors and auction houses alike. One such coin from this year reached a value so high it stunned the numismatic community. In fact, an extraordinary piece from 1979 sold for an astonishing $99,000. Yes, you heard that right, $99,000 for a coin most people would overlook as small change. That's the magic of coin collecting. Ordinary objects can turn into priceless treasures, and history can be hiding in your pocket right now. Today, we are stepping into the world of two of America's most iconic coins, the Roosevelt dime and the Jefferson nickel, from the year 1974. These coins might look like everyday change, something you'd pass through your hands without a second thought, but don't be fooled. Hidden within ordinary rolls of coins or tucked away in jars and boxes across America, some of these 1974 pieces are worth far more than you could ever imagine. Let's begin with the Roosevelt dime. The dime as we know it was first introduced in 1946 to honor Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. His image was chosen not only for his leadership but also because of his personal battle with polio and his strong connection to the March of Dimes campaign that raised money to fight the disease. The design, created by John R. Sinek, features Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, while the reverse carries a torch, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. By 1974, dimes were no longer struck in silver but in a clad composition of copper and nickel. To most people, they were just another coin for daily purchases. But to collectors, the details matter. The sharpness of the strike, the quality of the planchet, the presence of errors, and of course, the mint mark can all transform a common dime into something extraordinary. Now, let's shift to the Jefferson nickel. First issued in 1938, this coin replaced the Buffalo nickel and has since become a cornerstone of American coinage. The obverse displays a dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse shows Monticello, his Virginia estate, standing as a symbol of his legacy. The design has remained mostly unchanged for decades, making the nickel one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. In 1974, both the dime and the nickel were minted in large quantities at several locations. Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, Denver coins are identified by the letter D, and San Francisco struck proof coins with the S mint mark. Billions were produced, but that doesn't mean every coin is equal. The majority were used in everyday transactions, showing heavy wear and tear over the years. But those saved in pristine, uncirculated condition have a completely different story to tell. Let's talk about what makes some of these 1974 coins so valuable. The first factor is condition. Coins graded by professional services at the highest levels, mint state 66, 67, and above, become rare treasures because so few survive in flawless quality. Most coins have scratches, marks, or worn details, but the rare pristine examples are the ones collectors fight over. The second factor is mint errors. Error coins are some of the most exciting finds in numismatics. Imagine discovering a dime struck off-center, or a nickel with doubled lettering, or even one struck on the wrong planchet altogether. These mistakes escape the quality control process and end up in circulation, making them unique and highly desirable to collectors. A 1974 coin with a dramatic error can fetch thousands of dollars depending on its rarity and condition. Then there are the proof coins. In 1974, the San Francisco Mint struck proof versions with sharp details, mirror-like fields, and frosted designs. These coins were never intended for circulation but for collectors. A flawless proof with perfect contrast, known as deep cameo, is a prize that can bring in serious money when it shows up at auction. What makes this story even more fascinating is the history these coins represent. A 1974 dime or nickel might have been carried by someone during the turbulent mid-1970s, a time of economic challenges, political change, and cultural shifts in the United States. Holding one today is like holding a small piece of American history in your hand. So why should you care about these small coins that many overlook? Because out of the billions minted, a tiny fraction has become highly sought after. Whether it's because of pristine preservation, an unusual mint error, or a rare proof variation, these coins have shocked collectors and dealers with their auction prices. Here's the part you've been waiting for, the moment where history, rarity, and value come together. While most of these coins are only worth their face value of 10 cents or 5 cents, there are exceptions that have stunned the coin world. In fact, one extraordinary example from 1974, a coin that combined rarity, condition, and demand, sold for the breathtaking sum of $110,000. Yes, you heard that right, $110,000 for a coin that most people would never give a second glance. That is the thrill of coin collecting. Ordinary change can transform into priceless treasure if you know what to look for. So the next time you sort through your pocket change or open that old coin jar, remember this story. You might just be holding the next great discovery without even knowing it. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey into the world of the 1974 Roosevelt dime and Jefferson nickel. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into rare and valuable coins, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a chance to uncover hidden treasures. Keep searching, keep learning, and remember, your change could be worth far more than you think.